This election feels personal to me. It feels personal in the same way that the 2016 election did 4 years ago. And I was 19 at the time. That was my first presidential election ever, where I could vote. And I followed that election really closely. I knew the consequences, but even that did not prepare me for election night itself. I remember being in this dark, sweaty basement surrounded by other students at my college. And there was this giant projector screen in the front of the room with CNN blurring out results state by state. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina pretty quickly began to go in a pretty unexpected direction. At first, I felt numb. And then I felt like the bottom of the floor was dropping out from underneath me, and I didn't know how far we were going to fall. That night, I was walking back to my dorm room in the dark with my best friend, who was an undocumented guy and brilliant, one of the most brilliant students of history I've ever known, but he never would have even gotten the chance of higher education if not for the DACA program that Obama put in place. And I had to turn to him and ask him, listen, man, if ICE comes for you on campus, do I have your mom's number? Just in case I have to tell her? I remember lying awake that night. And my thoughts kept coming back to this memory I had from when I was just 8 years old. I'm the son of 2 Bangalis from Kolkata, and I grew up in Los Angeles. And there was this one time where my mom was walking through this neighborhood in Canoga Park wearing a sari. And there was an older white woman outside her house. And my mom accidentally stepped on her grass. And this woman turns on her and says, "What are you doing on my grass?" My mom said, "I'm sorry, it was an accident." And this woman said, "You dirty Indians. You people come in here and you stink up the whole neighborhood with your curry smell. And I don't even know what you do at that Hindu temple down the street, but you should just go the hell back where you came from." Those are timeless words. The reaction of my mom's friends was timeless as well. "Come on, Moite, let's go," they said. But my mom, she just doesn't play that. She looked at this woman and said, "How dare you say that to me? I'm an American too. You can't tell me that." And this woman turns around, grabs her garden hose, and sprays my mom and her friends down in the middle of the street. In the middle of the street. My mom was furious, and she called the police, who didn't want to help her at first. But my mom said that she was not going to move from that spot until they did something about it, because this was a hate crime. So finally they did show up. They knocked on the door. The woman didn't respond, but at least the police did something, so my mom went home. And I could end that story there. It's a brave story. It's about my mom standing up for herself, but that's not what I saw. I remember being 8 years old, watching her from inside the house as she paced up and down in the backyard. She was drenched, wearing her sari and sobbing, saying to her friend, "How could she do this to me? How could you do this to me?" And that really stuck with me. Just that feeling of watching my mom cry and not knowing what to do. Feeling that powerlessness and knowing it was because we were brown-skinned. That little boy is still in me somewhere. And he was in me on that night in 2016. But my mom was there too. You know, a few months ago, I asked my mom about that incident. "Why did you stand up like that? Weren't you scared? What if that woman had a weapon or set her dog on you?" And my mom told me, "Amake kukurer moto treat koreche. Kintu ami kukurer moto laj gudiye palate chaini." That's Bangla for she may have treated me like I was a dog, but I was not going to tuck my tail and run like a dog. And I felt those words. That's exactly what was in me in 2016 too. The day after the election, I gathered with some other students who wanted to stand up for the immigrant community, including ourselves, including our undocumented friends, despite what was going on at the national level. We organized over the next 3 months. We ultimately turned out 200 students and community members for a city council vote to make sure that our town was a sanctuary city, so that local police would not cooperate with ICE against our friends. And after 8 hours of public testimony, we won. It was just this moment of relief. We didn't have to let this just roll over us, no matter what was going on at the top. We were still here. Feels the same way now to me in 2020. I know that a lot of you may be feeling the same way that I felt in 2016 and in 2020. You've got funny names, you've got funny cultures, you felt like an outsider, you've been powerless before. But we are still here, and we need to vote if we're going to be at the table. If you don't vote, then who is voting instead? If you aren't making the decisions, then who's making them for you? This is our country too. Nobody can take that away from us, even if so many try to do so. All I'm asking you is, don't let yourself become numb. Remember why this is personal, and then go out and vote.